Being in my early 30s, I'm finding myself reflecting back in my early 20s, especially as it pertains to money. I've been thinking about what I wish I knew in my 20s regarding money that I feel like would have propelled me further in terms of making wiser decisions and also just avoid making certain mistakes, but do not regret making those mistakes. However, I do think that we can learn from other people's progress. We can learn from other people's journeys so that we can avoid making those mistakes ourselves. And so I'm just going to reflect back in my 20s as to what are the things that I wish I knew about money. So the first one is banks are not your friend. And I say this because looking at my behavior during my 20s, in my 20s, especially my late 20s, when I started working, like when I had a permanent job, and because I didn't have savings whatsoever, I found it easy for me to go to banks for money. If I needed something, like I remember when I moved in my first apartment, I didn't have anything, and so I went to the bank to get a credit card, and then I went again to get a personal loan. So when I look back at these activities or these moments when I would go to the bank to get money, I remember so clearly that for me, it was not even a matter of second guessing myself or just being concerned. I just found it easy for me to say, okay, something needed to be done. Okay, I would sit down, I would look at my money and calculate if I can afford, how much can I afford, and then I'll just go to the bank and get the money. And as much as I do not regret doing all those things, but I do think that I would have been better off knowing that banks are not my friends, that banks are there to make money, and that is their whole ethos. Let me give you an example. Have you gotten a call from one of these banks, like my bank, which is FNB? They like calling me, and then they'll say, hi, ma'am. Hi ma'am, or hi Miss Jennifer. We wanted to tell you that we've selected, because you have been one of our best clients, we wanted to give you something to thank you for being our best client. And then I'll be like, okay, why are you giving me something for free? They're like, no, we'd like to offer you this. We would like to offer you this insurance. We'd like to offer you this life cover. I'm just like, that is not free though. That is not a reward for me being a great customer. But they use these terms so that they lure you in. And so when you understand that banks are not your friend, you start being weary in their tactics and the words that they use to lure you in, especially when it comes to things like overdrafts, credit cards, and all this other stuff. They will lure you in with the words that they use and the fact that you've got a good credit score, which means that now you can qualify for a better deal when it comes to interest rate. But I do not need that debt. I do not need a debt. So why are you trying to force it down my throat? I wish I knew in my 20s that banks are not my friend. They are there to make money. As much as we benefit from them, but mostly they benefit more from us than we benefit from them. And when you start understanding that they are not your friend, whenever you are making the decisions to take any sort of debt or to require any money from the bank, you are more wary, you are more strategic, you are more wiser in terms of making sure that you get the best deal for yourself. Because if you do not know, if you go in blindly, not understanding that banks are not your friend, what you'll do is you'll take anything that they give you, because in your mind you are thinking that, oh no, they've got my back, like this is my bank. And so that is the first thing that I wish I knew. The second thing that I wish I knew is it is not about how much you make, but how much you keep. There was a time whereby when I was in my entry level, I really felt like my salary was low. And it got worse when I got into a lot of debt, because now that low salary was being taken away by this debt. My motivation came whereby now I really just wanted to make more money. I wanted to get paid more, because I felt like my salary that I was getting paid was too little. And what I wish I understood was it is not about how much money I make, but how much money I keep. Because I can earn as much as I can. Like, I can climb that corporate ladder, move from the level that I'm in to another level. But if I do not understand the principle of money, that it is not about how much money you make, but how much you keep, it will be easy for me to still feel like I do not earn enough, even when I'm earning a lot of money, because I'm not playing the money game very well. If you want to play the money game very well, you need to understand that it is not about how much money you make, but how much you keep. So, and also this is not saying that do not desire to get paid more or to make more money. Yes, desire that, but do know that if you want to win in the money game, if you want to start making a difference when it comes to your money situation, then you need to start understanding that it's about how much money you keep from the money that you get paid. And so you want to always strive to keep more and spend less. As much as you are getting that income, you want to keep as much of it as possible. And that is called paying yourself. And so I wish that I knew this, because I would have have been more wiser when it comes to my decision making relating to money, and knowing that even though as I'm trying to get that better job that pays me well, when I get into that job, the most important thing is making sure that I keep most of that money. But because I was in so much debt, I like the fact that I was wise enough to know that, okay, first thing that I need to do when I got my promotion was to tackle those debts. First thing that I did, like immediately when I started working, I went straight to Capitec and I said, let us increase my installment and let us decrease the term of the loan. And within 18 months, I finished the loan that I was supposed to finish after 24 months. And so it's really important to understand that it's not about how much money you make, but how much you keep. And when you're drowning in debt, when you have too much debt, it is hard to keep most of your money. So what you want to do is you want to clear out most of those debts so that you can make room for you to keep more money. The third thing that I wish I learned is there's no quick way to wealth. Now, there was a point whereby I was obsessed with crypto. I was obsessed with investing. Like, I would be on my easy equities every morning, which showed the limited understanding of investing when it comes to my part, that your returns are not going to show within like 24 hours, because it's not like I was trading. I was in there investing, but then because I didn't understand, and also my approach to investing was not very wise in terms of understanding that when you're investing for long term and not short term, because you start seeing the results of compound interest long term, not in short term. And so there was a point whereby I was obsessed with these things. Like every morning, I tell you, I'll be checking my easy equities just to check how are my assets doing. I would be putting money into crypto. I remember I even pulled in my partner. I was like, come on, don't you see this thing is doing well? Give me the money here. Let me invest for you, you know? I'm so glad that he hasn't asked me about what happened to my 1,000 grand that I gave you to invest for me. But yeah, like it just goes to show how obsessed I was with this thing. The reason why I was so obsessed is because in my mind, I just thought that this is the quickest way that I can get wealthy. This is the quickest way that I can, be rich. And my strategy wasn't that I wanted to make millions from crypto. My strategy was I just wanted to make enough, at least over 200,000. That way I can take that money, invest it in property, and then I can grow. Like I had a plan, but then also you cannot predict these things. You cannot say that, okay, if I put money today, then tomorrow is going to be like this. And I got into the hype so much of these things, especially when it comes to crypto, that I ended up losing money because I just went in head all in, knowing that, okay, this is my ticket to wealth. And so now that I'm in my early 30s and I'm much more wiser about money and understand the money game, I now know that there is no quick way to wealth. That if you want to build wealth, it is about the small things that you do. And it's also about investing long term and not just saying, just going to put your money here. That also it's about that part that I talk about, that it's not about how much money you make, but how much you keep. So as you start keeping more money, then you can start diversifying. You can start putting money for long term in portfolios that can actually multiply your money. But even then, it's not going to happen within 2 years, 5 years. It's a long game. And I remember this other time, my mother asked to invest with me, and then I was just like on crypto, and then she gave me about 2.5, and I invested it for her under my account. And then things just didn't go well that year. Like for the 6 months, nothing happened. And what happened was it actually lost value. And my mother was like, in December, I need my money. And also my mom not understanding investing and how it works, that if you put in money and it goes down, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the same value that you put in. You get what is available at that time. And I also did not want to fight with her because she didn't understand this thing. I also didn't want her to feel like she's being robbed. And so what I did was I just said, okay, it's fine. And then I withdraw what was available. And then I had to take from my salary to add, to top up, to be the exact money that she had. And that for me is losing money. I lost money through that. So it is just to say that be wise, know that there is no quick way to wealth. It is about long term. If you really want to build wealth, if you want to build real riches, wealth that you can pass on to generations, then think long term. Do not think short term. I know that with the society that we live in the times that we live in, we want instant gratification, we want quick results. But when it comes to building wealth, true wealth, it is long term. It is about long term. It is about playing the long-term game and playing the money game well. The fourth thing that I wish I learned is it is about the small, consistent steps or actions that you take as opposed to big inconsistent actions or habits that you take. So what does this mean? That it's very important that you remain consistent, that if you decide that you want to get your finances in order, that you get the small nitty-gritties, mundane things that are not enjoyable. You know, some of the things that people say on Instagram when I do my payday routines and all that other stuff, and my cash stuffing, they'll be like, that's just too much admin. Nice thing is I'm an admin official, so I just say that's my profession, so I find it easy. But it is just funny for me, it is weird for me that people run away from all these things that they're supposed to be doing because it's just too much admin. There are ways that you can automate certain things and it doesn't feel like admin. But even still then, the idea of sitting down and writing a budget and trying your best to stick to it, for many people sounds like too much admin. It sounds like it's just too much. And so people skip those things, hoping that they will get things in order, hoping that they'll get their finances in order, and they never do. And so what I wanted to emphasize here is it's not about the big steps that are inconsistent that you take that are going to help you when it comes to fixing your finances. It's about the small, consistent steps that you take. If you owe someone, if you owe the bank their money, what you want to do is you want to make sure that each and every month you pay what is required for you to maintain a good credit score, right? And so you don't want to skip months. You don't want to pay this month, skip 2 months and then pay. You don't want to do that, because when you do that, you are basically killing your credit score. Even though I'm not a person that is really obsessed about such things as credit score, because I do feel like they end up being our handcuffs in most of the decisions that we have to take. But I wanted to bring in that example there. When you are paying your debt, you don't want to be skipping months. You don't want to pay one big chunk here, like pay 5,000 here and then skip and then come back and pay another 5,000. You don't want to do that. As much as it may look like it's a strategy to you, but it's a bad strategy and it's going to come and bite you, you know, at the end of the day. And so what you want to do is you want to maintain those payments that you're supposed to be making, small or big as they are. You want to maintain them. You also want to maintain your habits. So when it comes to budgeting each and every month, not budgeting once and then saying, and then I'm good for the next 3-4 months. No, every month you have to sit down and budget. Every month you have to make sure that you are investing, you are saving. You don't want to say, okay, I've got 5,000, let me put, and then you don't say for the next 5 months, and then you come again and then you put another 5,000, because that doesn't build the habit of saving. And so what you want to do is you want to make it a habit. You want to make it something that comes to you. Say, we want to make it to be second nature for you to invest each and every month, where each and every month you come in, you put in that money, then you're good. You come in, you put that money, then you're good. You want to maintain those small, consistent habits and actions, because those are the things that are going to build your finances. Those are the things that are going to sustain you, and those are the things that are going to allow you to work towards your financial goals, not the big inconsistent things that you do. It's like here on YouTube, I'm sure you guys get so annoyed when you find creators whereby they'll post once or twice in a month and then they'll just disappear on you for the entire month, and then they'll come again in another month. They'll post maybe once and then they'll disappear for like 2 months. Like it's just not fun to continue to watch that person's content, because you're like, you don't take me seriously. Why should I give you my time in my day? And so the same thing when it comes to your finances. You want to show up each and every month consistently. Do not jump, do not skip, do not just forget about your thing. Like when it comes to December, you guys, I just want to emphasize this. When it comes to December, show up for yourself financially in December. I know what most people do is in December they live like there's no tomorrow, and then when January they are broke because they did not plan properly in December. Actually, they did not even plan at all in December, because they lived like there is no tomorrow. They lived like there's no January. And so what I want to encourage you here is be consistent even in December. Make sure that you set your budget and make sure that you try your best to stick to it, because it's going to allow you to start 2024 with a bang. And then the last thing that I wish I knew in my early 20s is do not pay the minimum towards your debts. Even though that is very important, like paying you the minimum each and every month is important. But what I'm trying to say here, if you're intentional about getting out of debt, then you need to stop paying minimum and actually pay more, because when you pay a little bit extra on your debt, what it does is it eats away on that interest that the banks charge you, because that is where banks make most money. They charge us this interest, and so when you're paying minimum, what happens is you take longer to pay off that debt, which means that you are also servicing the banks by giving them more money through interest. So when you're paying more, a little bit each and every month, small consistent steps, as I said in the previous point, what happens is it starts eating away from the interest that you're supposed to be paying towards bank, and then you get closer towards attacking your principal. Like right now, when it comes to my bond, ever since I got it, ever since I started paying, ever since I got my house, I've not been paying the minimum. The bank will say, okay, pay this much, and then I'll add 500 rands extra, and then they'll come back with the interest rate hikes. They'll say pay this much. I remember this other time I just added 1,000. I know that right now it may not seem like it's fruitful. It may not seem like it's benefiting me in any way. But I know that with the 1,000, with that 500 rands that I'm adding, with that extra amount that I'm adding, what it does is it accumulates to cover 1 month. It accumulates to cover another month. It accumulates to cover another month. So you might find that my house that I'm supposed to be paying for 20 years, I might end up paying for it for 15 years because of these extra amounts that I'm adding on my repayments. And so think about it that way, that if you want to get out of debt and you really want to attack your debts, what you want to do is avoid paying minimum and add extra. This is going to help you to just eat away on the interest that you're supposed to be paying at the banks. And actually, this is one way that we can win against the banks as much as possible, because as much as they try to win from us, we must also play this money game wise and understand that they are not our friends. And so when they offer us something, we need to also be smart in terms of how can I also outsmart these people? What can I do to try and avoid having to pay this much interest? And so just think about those things. I know that I said that these are things that I wish I knew in my 20s, but even now in my 30s, I still apply these things. I still remind myself of these things that, okay, remember, Jalo, banks are not your friends. I also just remind myself that it's not about the big things that I do big. It's not about the big inconsistent habits or actions that I take, but the small ones. Me sitting down each and every month and budgeting, making sure that I do my payday routine, pay for my things on time. All those things, they do accumulate, and that's where you get further in life. And also understanding that wealth is not something that I can just achieve tomorrow. That wealth is not built overnight, but that it's a long game. And also understanding that it's not about how much money I make, but how much money I keep. And all these things accumulated together, I think that they can help you to navigate this financial space much better, because you understand the fundamentals. They kind of keep you in line as you work towards your finances. So that is all that I just wanted to talk to you guys about with this. And as I said, this may apply. You might be in your 40s and you look back in your 30s, you're like, I wish I knew that. Okay, let me use that knowledge to allow myself to make better decisions when it comes to my finances as I grow older, so that I can work towards building my wealth that I can then pass on to my kids and my kids' kids. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.